So we're back with another two guests this time. We have Chris and Keith from Los Angeles, California. And I always like it when the husbands get in there and explain what is really happening, the whole process of the healing. And Chris shares how she had a tremendous amount of tumors in her lymph system around her neck, and then a big old tumor on her chest that was causing all kinds of problems. And she was a singer and couldn't sing because of all this stuff. But it's very interesting listening to Chris and Keith because they tell about what they went through and all the different things they included in the healing process. And again, how the cocoon water was an integral part of their healing process. And I really want the gentleman to listen to this, that Keith was right there supporting her, but he also did something behind closed doors when she wasn't looking, but he was supportive. So I want you to listen to see what he says and really the relationship of how they helped each other out during this whole process. So listen in and we'll talk to you soon.
I'm Chris Garrett Jarvis and I'm from Los Angeles, California.
And I'm Keith Jarvis, and I'm her husband.
This all happened actually almost exactly a year ago. I started having a lot of back pain, and I went to my chiropractor and got adjustments and got massages and, all of that stuff. And then pretty soon it was just, I'm like, something's wrong. So I went and got an x-ray, and then they saw something, and that progressed to a CT scan, and that progressed to a PET scan. And then basically they said, well, you've got a tumor, 8.5 centimeter tumor in your lung, and it's metastasized to your lymph nodes in your neck. So I was like, okay, that's a big surprise. That's not what I was expecting. I thought I had a cracked rib or something. Anyhow, so I went and talked to several doctors. I flew to Florida and talked to a great doctor there and got his perspective. I went to Mexico and visited a clinic. And I went to a UCLA oncologist and got his perspective. And then I heard about this therapy because actually it was a fluke, but somebody that I know came here, and she was really bad off, and then I heard that she came home and she was doing a lot better. So we actually knew her, but then also my chiropractor, Dr. Garbett, he actually was aware of this too, and I asked him, what do you think we should do? And he said, you should go to Hungary. And if it was anybody in my family, that's what I'd have them do. After I was here for about a month, and then after that, it was kind of weird because I kind of felt like, hey, I don't feel bad. You know what I mean? It's like when you feel bad, you don't notice it until it's not there. So then I just started feeling like I had more energy. And then when I felt better physically, I started to actually feel better mentally because I wasn't being bogged down by feeling bad all the time. So then I think it really helped me because I was able to think clearer about my situation and feel more optimistic about what was going to happen rather than feeling, totally run over by a truck.
So you felt better, and then the pain, whatever you had, you didn't have any.
The pain actually gradually went away. I was here for 3 months last year, which is kind of a long time, but by the end of it, and the other thing that I had was a persistent cough, and I'm a professional singer, so it literally had gotten to the point where we had a show in April, and I was, calling subs because I was like, I cannot do this show. I'm not going to sing. I just was coughing all the time. So by the time I left here, I think I was pretty much, wasn't I not coughing anymore?
I think so.
Pretty much?
Certainly not coughing now.
Yeah, I'm not coughing now, and I don't have any pain whatsoever, and I feel good, and I'm very happy that I came here. So May 25th of 2013 is my PET scan, which shows a tumor 8.5 centimeters, lymph node involvement, with an SUV value on the PET scan of 18.9. That is a gnarly tumor. And that's active, right? Because I even read online, they were like, a PET scan goes from 2 to 15. I was like, what's this 18.9? I'm glad I didn't read that then. But now it's completely out of my lymph nodes, and this tumor has shrunken down to less than 4 centimeters, and the SUV value is 3.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I feel good, and I'm happy. I still get freaked out. You know, I get a sore throat. I'm like, oh my God, my lymph nodes have cancer. I get a headache. Oh my God, it's a brain tumor, you know. But
It's only your first year.
it's my first year. But I do freak out, I have to say. I'm not perfect. But all in all, my spirits are super high. And this is my second time back here. And I was tired the first few days because it kind of knocks you out. And then all of a sudden the same thing started happening. A few days ago I woke up and I said, oh, look, I'm not tired. You know, I don't wake up and go, oh, I have to wake up. I wake up and I'm just like awake.
Whenever she asked me, should I buy cheese? Should I buy bread? No, don't buy it. So, and I usually try to eat what she's eating. I'll sneak off and have something sugary, a pastry or whatever. And I mean, my health wasn't perfect before this all started, so I've kind of thought, okay, what's the worst that can happen? I'll improve my health and it'll be helping her. So I really do try to provide an environment where there's agreement with the diet. I'm not always, and she's claims that it doesn't matter so much either way. I'll go out to dinner and I'll have things that she wouldn't have as part of the diet. And, you know, so I kind of go back and forth on it. She's straight and narrow, and I'm kind of like this on it with the diet. But I do try to support her and encourage her to do it, because, you know, obviously it's part of the reason that she's getting better, and that's really the bottom line of all these, what we're doing, all these actions. So that's my answer.
How did you feel when she was freaking out? She was really getting scared. I mean, what did you do to help support her?
The only thing I could do is really just, number one, I'd have her talk about it and like try to look at it analytically a little bit, because there's an irrational thing that can creep in there. And I think that helped a little, because she could see that there was some hope analytically. There was some hope. And the other is I would, without being totally obvious, try to pick the rosier scenario or possibility. And you know what? I turned out to be right. So there you go. I think it's really important, and maybe this is something that doesn't have to be said, but if as a support person, you have to keep yourself doing okay. Because if you start having those thoughts, then you're no longer an anchor or something that they can tie their boat to. Suddenly you're both adrift. So whatever that is, whether it's playing a sport or going to a movie, something to keep yourself built up, I think is vital. And along that same line, I believe this epidemic of cancer has to do with a lot of things, but one of them is an emotional component. So if you can be someone that can be a positive influence on them without being annoying, then I think that is vital or super important, helpful. But yeah, I think the main thing is just to try to keep your head and try to be kind of the analytical person in the situation, and don't let yourself get beat up by it or too dragged into it.
The first thing I would tell them is do not freak out. Do not listen don't go on the internet and start reading a bunch of horror stories. Sure, I wish they could go on the internet and find positive stories, because I looked for them and they're really kind of hard to find, honestly. I was like hoping there was going to be a website of, you know, positive cancer survivors or something, where you could go and people would be like, you know, like I am now. In fact, I'd love to just gather people like I am now and say, hey, let's get together and encourage other people who have this happen so they can go online, and that's the first thing they see, not all this other stuff. So that's what I would say is the first thing is that. This might sound kind of crazy, and I don't know if most people would do it, but if I had, like, you know how when you want to talk to yourself in the past? I think it's actually a kind of a good idea to go out of town for the weekend. Just go away and don't bring your cell phone, and maybe let it sink in for about 3 days. I'd say till you feel emotionally stable. And then of course I would say read Bill Henderson's book. It's so good. And then once you read that book, you'll get ideas for other books that you can read and other positive information, and you can get educated about your immune system and about diet change. And these are all things that you can do right now. Like, you can be in control of your own body right now, regardless of whatever therapy you decide to do. If you decide to go do chemo, radiation, not take the holistic route, whatever you're going to do, it's not going to hurt you to change your diet. Believe me, I'm definitely not sitting around crying because I'm not eating ice cream. And I ate a lot of ice cream. Do you know what I mean? That's fine. You can live without it. It's okay. And it's not hard to change your diet. It's kind of funny when the chips are down and you have to do something, it is not that hard.
Thank you so much for both of you being on the show. Really appreciate you guys. And I know by next year, you guys are going to be really snapping around. This is great. All right, thank you.
All right.
Okay,
Thank
thanks.
you.